Hi, this is Patrick Henry, and I'm here today with Amanda Cascadden. We're both with the San Diego Lifestyle, and we're here today with another segment, Baby Boomers versus Millennials. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about Baby Boomers being labeled as the entitlement generation. And what do you think? What do you think about that, Amanda?
Well, when I
do you
first
feel
heard
like
that,
you're entitled, or do you think your whole generation is entitled?
I don't even know what to think of that. That's a tough one. I mean, we don't want to be. It's tough, but I guess that's sad.
Entitlement, I don't know if I'll get the Webster definition correct on this, but I think it's expecting things without expecting to do anything for it. It's like, okay, I just show up and I should be rewarded and praised just for my presence. And I'm curious on your perspective. I mean, how do you think about this? How do you think about life? How do you think about, do you feel like you're entitled?
Well, I think in general millennials do, because I even push you and I always say, well, you have been a CEO, so people should listen to you, or you have done this or this, so people should automatically, give you this or that. So I think it's a mentality thing, and it's like, once you get to a certain level or you've done something once, I feel like you know it. It comes back to our very first kind of discussion too, about like, once I learn something, then don't I just know it, and can't I start a big company, and can't I manage 100 people? Why can't I just do that? If I went to college, so why can't I just start it? So yeah, I don't know, like what's the opposite of having an entitlement mentality? Like, what is your generation thinking that's not being entitled? How do they think of things?
Well, I personally don't think about things in this way. I think every generation has people that are lazy, and every generation has people that work hard, and the percentage of people that work hard is relatively small. Then the people that work hard and work smart is even smaller. And the people that really think a lot and are deep thinkers and strategic and goal-oriented, they're the people that will be in the top 1% of earners, in their generation. I remember growing up, and my parents are, what do we call it, the silent generation. Believe me, they are far from silent. Even in their 80s, they let me know exactly what they're thinking all of the time. And they grew up with less than I had, than they provided for me. So they felt like me and my brothers and my sister were spoiled and entitled and, selfish. And we kind of got this drilled into us every single day. The old story about, I walked, to school every day, uphill both ways in a mile of snow.
Yeah.
So it's there. I think that each successive generation, and I'm pretty sure, and I haven't talked to my parents about this recently, or I don't know if ever, if their parents were as hard on them about these issues as they were on me, and as I am on my kids. Now, I feel like I'm a lot easier on my kids than my parents were on me, and part of that is just the world in which we live. I mean, you have so much technology, you kind of have to pick your spots, you have to pick your places of where you're going to really push on things, and you do want a better life for your kids. So having run a relatively large company and having run other businesses within large companies, I've worked with all generations, not Gen Zers because they're too young, but the millennials that I've worked with in companies, they're bright, they're hardworking, they're creative, they're out of the box thinkers. I think there's a level of entitlement. There's a level of expectation in terms of what I would call more of a meritocracy versus a time and grade type of promotion system. But I'm that way. When I joined a company, even when I was a relatively young guy, when I was being pretty successful early in my career, And I didn't think there was anything wrong with that. You know, by the time I was in my late 20s, I was managing people that were twice my age. You know, so I guess I thought a lot of myself, and I had a lot of confidence. Maybe too much, you know.
Maybe millennials just have too much confidence.
But maybe millennials as a generation are more like
confident.
that. So more confident, a little more cocky, a little bit more. You know, I can go find another job somewhere else if you don't give me kind of what I want. So I think there is a little bit of that arrogance and cockiness. Some of that is good. Some of that is not so good. I think in terms of having an entrepreneurial spirit, it's a good thing. I mean, what do you think about that? You know, you're an entrepreneur. You know,
it's hard. I don't want to say we're entitled and we like that and that's a good thing because it feels like a bad thing, but I don't know. I mean, it's not the worst thing, I don't think. Once you work up to a certain thing and you do the right things and you're at that point where someone else would have gotten that promotion or done this or that, it's like, yeah, I should be entitled. That's what I should be getting. Or it's just kind of like, we like to call it different things, like expectations and things like that. But I guess it's an entitlement.
Yeah, I think if you're doing the work and you're expecting a result because of that, and you're more of a what I like to call the meritocracy type of mentality, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if it's just because I show up, yeah, I should be treated special.
That's true.
I don't typically do that. but
you know,
even if they expect it, I don't do that.
Compared to baby boomers, I will say that I have seen many millennials show up and act like that than I've ever seen baby boomers. And maybe, I don't know why that is. I don't know.
Now, I think there has been a tempering of that attitude with the recession in 2008, 2009, where, you know, there were a lot of layoffs, where there were people kind of having, you know, I can't find a job. I can't just walk across the street and get another job just like that. So even if you're extremely talented. So there were, you know, I think that maybe tempered that a little bit with millennials, and that's also probably slowed or stemmed the effect of millennials getting into entrepreneurial ventures, although there's still a lot. But I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, I think it's all part of growing up. You know, it's all part of, hey, you know, I'm getting more experience, and millennials go up to, I guess, 35 or 36 years old. And some of the millennials that I know that are 35 and 36 that have, you know, had some hard knocks and had some setbacks and went through a divorce or went through a failed company or went through whatever, you know, they have a different, more refined attitude than somebody that, you know, is what we will call in the vernacular a snot-nosed kid, you know, that's like, you know, just spoiled and like doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
And just thinks that,
experience.
I think it's experience. I think that, you know, there is in each successive generation, you know, more of an expectation. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I'm not in alignment with a lot of my peers on this point of view. I think a lot of baby boomers do have this kind of frustration, maybe anger is too strong of a word, but frustration around millennials and kind of this arrogance and this, you know, this attitude. But I kind of like people that are a little bit more cocky and confident and willing to go out there, as long as they can back it up. If you back it up, great. If you can't back it up, you know, forget about it.
I love it. All right, so that's pretty much wraps that up. We both agree baby boomers are not as entitled at all, and millennials definitely act more entitled. So there are millennials that are not entitled and don't act like that, but for the most part, I think we both agree that they are.
They are to an extent, but I think it is tempered, and I think that it's all.
Will they grow out of it?
It's all a perspective.
Will they grow out of it?
But we'd love to hear from you guys. I mean, what do you think? You think this is just an age issue as you get older, even if you're a millennial or a Gen Xer or a baby boomer? Maybe you were entitled when you were younger, or is this just a systematic issue with millennials that they're just entitled and they're going to be the entitled generation forever? I mean, God help us when they have to bring Gen Zers into the workforce, and the Gen Zers are even more entitled than they are. So we're anxiously awaiting that.
We better enjoy our time now, just being entitled. All right, well, thanks for talking today. This is Amanda and Patrick from the San Diego Lifestyle, and guys, hope you have a good day.
Thank you very much.